Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Women in Sports, a Nashville Sports Council initiative, I'd like to welcome all of you to the second annual Nashville Tip Off Breakfast. My name is Caroline Hips. I am the chair of the Women in Sports Committee. And at the Women in Sports Committee, our mission is to provide a forum to increase awareness, engagement, and promotion of professional and collegiate women's sports through events, sponsorships, and community outreach. Before we get started, say a very special thank you to our sponsors for this event: Hunt Brothers Pizza, Core Civic, Southeastern Tank, and Nashville Soccer Club on behalf of Ingram Industries. Thank you all so much for your partnership, for giving to support this unique but really special event this morning that we're all looking forward to. And lastly, before we get started and I pass it over to our chair-elect of our committee, I want to say a thank you to our virtual audience for all of you taking the time out of your morning to join us. We know these are unique circumstances. Last year was our first tip-off breakfast. We were in person, of course, so this is very different, but equally exciting. So we appreciate all of you for taking the time out of your morning to join us, and we look forward to a really fun and exciting event. I'm going to turn it over to Sheila Gibson. Sheila is our Women in Sports Committee Chair-elect, and she's going to give a couple of special shout-outs before we hear from our coaches. Sheila, take it away.
Thank you, Caroline. Good morning, everyone. Prior to kicking off the event with the coaches, I would like to take a moment to recognize a few athletic leaders that have joined us for the event this morning. These individuals represent exceptional leadership roles in athletics across Middle Tennessee and have been very supportive and/or active with our Women in Sports Committee. First, I would like to recognize Commissioner Beth DeBach of the Ohio Valley Conference. Beth has a long-time love of sports and a passion for enriching the lives of student athletes. And Beth has been and continues to be a great partner and member of the Women in Sports Committee. The second athletic leader I would like to recognize is Candace Story, Vanderbilt University's Vice Chancellor of Athletics. Candace is a former college basketball standout for the Vanderbilt Commodores. In May of 2020, Candace was named Vanderbilt's first female athletic director and first African-American woman to head a Southeastern Conference athletics program. Additionally, she is among just 5 women to head a Power 5 athletics department. Congratulations, Candace. I would also like to recognize one of the most prolific scorers in NCAA basketball history, Philip Hutchinson. Philip is the current athletic director at Lipscomb University. Additionally, he is a former and noted Lipscomb University basketball star. As a member of the men's basketball team, Philip broke the nation's college basketball's all-time leading record with 4,106 points. Thanks for being here, Philip. So in closing, just a huge thank you to each of you for your support of women's athletics in Tennessee, as well as for your support of the Women in Sports Committee.
Tony, give me our schedule real quick.
I do have one final introduction prior to the kickoff of the event and panel discussion with the coaches. I would like to introduce this morning's moderator, WKRN sports anchor Emily Pratt. Emily is a former athlete and graduate of Belmont University. A couple of her honors include lettering 4 years at Belmont on the soccer team, being named an OVC top 20 preseason player to watch her senior year, and also she's been honored as the 30 under 30 sportscaster. After graduating from Belmont, Emily completed an internship for WKRN News Channel 2 in Nashville. She later accepted a position as a sports anchor and reporter at WATE in Knoxville. She then returned back to Nashville and accepted the opportunity for her current position as a sports anchor and reporter at WKRN Tennessee. Welcome, Emily Pratt.
Hello, thank you so much for that introduction, Sheila. I'm not sure why it didn't include that I was also an intramural basketball player, but that's fine. I think I would have been a lot better if any of these coaches helped me out, but I do appreciate everybody showing up. I hope everyone's nice and comfortable and in true spirit. I've got basketball shorts on and a nice shirt, so I do like the Zoom meetings for that reason as well, but let's go ahead and get started with some of our coaches' introductions. So let's start with Stephanie White. From Vanderbilt. Stephanie White is in her 5th season at the helm of Vanderbilt women's basketball. Coach White arrived at Vanderbilt after spending 2 seasons as the head coach of the WNBA's Indiana Fever. She took the Fever to the playoffs in each season, including a trip to the WNBA Finals in 2015, becoming the first rookie coach in league history to lead a team to the finals. Now, before beginning her coaching career, White spent 1 season with the Charlotte Sting and 4 with the Indiana Fever before retiring in 2004. At the completion of her 4 seasons with the Fever, she ranked 3rd in games played with 112 and 3-pointers with 92, and 4th in scoring with 684 points. Now, she was named to the Indiana Fever's All-Decade team in 2009. As a collegiate player, White enjoyed a highly successful career at Purdue, where she led the Boilermakers to the 1999 NCAA championship as a senior. That season, she also received the Wade Trophy, given to the nation's top female player, and was named Big Ten Conference Player of the Year. Our next coach, Rick Insell from MTSU. No coach in Middle Tennessee women's basketball history has produced the success that Rick Insell has in 15 seasons. Since his arrival to Middle Tennessee in 2005, Insell has led the Raiders to 9 NCAA tournament appearances, 5 WNITs, coached 5 All-Americans, and grew 4 WNBA draft picks. In his 15 years, the 7-time Hall of Fame inductee has established a track record unlike any other in the Lady Raiders' rich women's basketball history, while also creating lofty expectations. Entering his 15th season leading his alma mater women's basketball program, Insell has also positioned Middle Tennessee as one of the winningest programs nationally. Now, this isn't on the bio, but I was there for your 2017 Women's Basketball Hall of Fame induction, so congratulations on that as well. And then Ty Evans from Tennessee State University. Ty Evans was recently named the brand new head coach of TSU's women's basketball program in August. Evans took over the reins at TSU after spending 8 years at SEC member Auburn. During his stint with the Tigers, he served as associate head coach from 2015 to 2020 and assistant coach from 2012 to 2015. Evans helped guide the team to win 2 NCAA tournament appearances. Bart Brooks from Belmont. Bart Brooks is entering his 4th season as head coach of the Belmont women's basketball team. In his 3 seasons at the helm, Brooks tallied a 79-20 record, along with back-to-back OVC championships and NCAA tournament appearances in just his first 2 years. Last season, Brooks and the Bruins notched a 22-9 and 16-2 OVC record en route to their 4th straight regular season OVC championship. All right, also welcome Lauren Sumski from Lipscomb. Sumski enters her 2nd year at the helm of the Lipscomb program, following a successful prep career where she was named Tennessee Miss Basketball twice. Sumski played 1 season under legendary Tennessee coach Pat Summitt before transferring to Rhodes College, where she rewrote the history books as a player. During her career, Sumski was a 2-time WBCA All-American, a National Player of the Year finalist, an SAA Player of the Year, a 2-time SAA Tournament MVP, and an Academic Honor Roll member. Sumski was named Lipscomb's head coach last year after serving as head coach at her alma mater, where she compiled a 35-21 overall record in her first head coaching tenure. Also, this is awesome, girl power. She is the first ever female to lead the program in the Division I era. Now, as a reminder, this is one of several events, both virtual and in person, that the Nashville Sports Council hosts throughout the year. So for more on the Sports Council and its Women in Sports initiative, please visit nashvillesports.com. So typically this is where we would pause for some sort of applause, but we are all virtual. So we'll just go ahead and jump right into these questions. And I'm gonna kind of go in order of the coaches that I introduced. So we'll start with Coach White. First and foremost, what has it been like since March when the women's basketball season we'll say wrapped up, but it didn't really ever have an end to it. What's it been like since then?
It's been chaotic, as everyone's life has been. You know, it's been uncertain. It's been an interesting challenge for coaches, for players, for people, for life in general. You know, I think that, you know, as coaches and as programs, we've gone through the same things that everyone has gone through with their families, with our extended family. I think the biggest thing for us is as educators and as leaders is to continue to lead by example, you know, through this pandemic, continue to talk about perspective, continue to talk about life and change and adversity and all the things that hit you, you know, as a human being, you know, not just as a student athlete, and to try to keep our kids engaged, not just engaged in athletics, but engaged in community. There's been lots of things going on in community as well, and to try to keep our players involved in community and continuing to help them become change agents.
I love that. All right, Coach Insel, I know that you had a very unique ending to the women's college basketball season. Take me back to March and that abrupt ending.
We were getting ready to tip the ball up. Matter of fact, we were in the center circle, and that's when they came out and, you know, game's off and you need to go to the house. And that's about the way they said it. And then the assistant commissioner of Conference USA came out and said, hey, probably they're going to cancel the NCAA tournaments. And I said, you're kidding. So we hurriedly got tickets out of Dallas and got back to Nashville. And that was probably the best thing that we did, was get our players back home, get them into an environment that they were used to and accustomed to. And at that point, that's when our leadership took over here at Middle Tennessee. Chris Massaro, Cindy McPhee, Dr. McPhee and Chris just did an excellent job of making sure that we had what we needed, making sure that our academics were still there and that our kids were able to maintain their apartments and their food and all of that. I mean, you know, you might think that that's minute, but it was not minute, because those young ladies had to be comfortable. We had to finish the semester up. And it made me even more proud of the fact of being the coach at Middle Tennessee, to see how our leadership stepped up to the plate because of our student athletes. And I think it gave them a different perspective also on Dr. McPhee and Chris and Diane, what they were all able to do to keep us as close as they could to our comfort level. My situation, again, I'm nearly 70 years old, so I had to watch what I did and where I went. And to be honest with you, I became a lot better golfer. So, you know, that's all I did. I went to the golf course. I did that, to kind of settle down a little bit.
Love that. Little bit of a silver lining there. I appreciate that. Coach Evans, I think probably the toughest part about all of this is all the uncertainty. How have you helped your women navigate that since March?
Well, for me, it was different because I wasn't here. I was still at Auburn at the time, so my role was somewhat different. At that particular time, everything was just so surreal because it was something that we had never went through before. So the one thing that I didn't try to do was try to pretend like I had any answers. What I tried to do as my role as an associate head coach at the time was just try to be there for support, remain connected with the parents. We sent our kids home right away. So there were, we finally figured out what Zoom was. I had no idea what Zoom was prior to March. I had never heard of the word before. It was a song, an R&B song back in the 80s prior to March. And that's the only time I had ever heard of the word Zoom. So we did a lot of Zoom calls. And for myself, I was fat. So I got on the treadmill and I lost some weight and got into a routine. So it helped me lose some weight. So that's kind of what I did in March.
I'm loving this honesty from you guys. I appreciate that this early in the morning. So thank you. Coach Sumski, you have 1 year under your belt as a head coach, and then all of a sudden this happens. What was it like for Lipscomb?
Oh man, just finishing up year one, we were obviously excited to hit the recruiting trail and, try to make an impact in that regard. And obviously COVID upended all of those plans. We were looking forward to sitting in young ladies' living rooms and trying to tell them what we're trying to do here and what we're trying to build. And we just had to improvise. And one of the things that Hutch talks about, Philip Hutchison, RID, is just improvising, adapting, and overcoming. And that's what we really tried to focus on and just figure out new and unique avenues where we could, find success with the opportunity that we had in front of us. So we just really worked on connecting as a team, keeping everyone fresh and healthy. And I just tried to challenge them in unique ways to stay present, because I think, as we all know, it's really difficult to look too far ahead, and you definitely couldn't look behind. So we just tried to really focus on being exactly where we were and making the most of each day that we had.
And you mentioned improvising. Coach Brooks, I know that you guys are kind of going through a unique thing over at Belmont right now. You're out of your athletic department because of the debate on Thursday. But how have you kind of had to improvise during this time to get in work during a pandemic?
Yeah, and I just echo, Coach Insel, what he said about his administration. Our administration at Belmont has been incredible throughout this whole thing. And I, as a leader of a team, not feeling like you have an answer for any of the questions that are coming at you on a daily basis. And to think about our leadership and how Scott Corley, our AD, and Renee Schultz and Dr. Fisher, our president, how they managed the summer and kept us full of information when there really wasn't any information to give. It was pretty incredible to just see how their leadership allowed us to do our jobs and lead our players and kind of focus on our teams. And, so now this couple of weeks outside of our arena, because Donald Trump and Joe Biden have rented out our gym for a couple of days here. This has been a small bump in the road compared to, obviously what we've dealt with this summer. And I just can't express enough how impressed I am by how everyone at Belmont has handled this whole situation and really given us a chance to be back on the court with our players, to do what we love and have a chance to hopefully impact these young ladies in a positive way.
Coach White, what does your new normal look like over at Vanderbilt?
Yeah, it's changing every day. I mean, we never really know what to expect. As soon as you get information, the next hour it changes. I think for us, it's just being aware, having a new awareness of not just ourselves and the things that we need to do to stay safe and get better, but having awareness of our community, our Vanderbilt community, our extended community, our Nashville community. We're doing what we can. We'll get our workouts in when we can and how we can. We're continuing to move forward and get better on the floor. I think the best thing about this entire situation is just that it's given everyone a brand new perspective. We continue to run the rat race, every single day, and we're always thinking about the future, and we're always thinking about what we want to do and what we want to accomplish, where we want to get to. And it's forced us to slow down and really evaluate what we have and where we are and who's around us, and taking care of not just yourself and family, but community. And so, we continue to approach every day to get better on the floor. We continue to approach every day to share how we're feeling, to have check-ins, because, it's not just the pandemic. It's all of the social unrest. It's mental health. It's all of the things that we are experiencing, that we now have, I think, a new face to, that we recognize, and that it's our job, it's our duty, as leaders, but also as human beings to recognize and to help navigate. And so it is a new normal. But just like Bart mentioned, getting back to what we love, I'll never forget the first day we stepped on the floor again, and it was like, oh, we're home. Right? We're home. We can hear the ball bouncing. We can hear the shoes squeaking, and we can do what we love.
I love that. Coach Insel, I know that obviously we talk about try to return to normalcy. I feel like I've heard that word a million times over the last couple months, but there really is no normalcy right now, and it is a reality that you will be approaching basketball season with the new normal. How have you helped your ladies stay sharp mentally and physically during this kind of strange time? Oh, you might be on mute here. Not hearing you. There we go. Sorry. Oh, still not hearing you. There we go. How many times have we all done that?
I don't know a whole lot about technology.
It's all right.
But we've been doing Zoom. I should know all of this. We've been doing Zoom now for the last 7 months. It's been tough. Every day is a new day. I mean, I've been doing this now 46 years, and I've never experienced anything in my whole career like this. You've got to be very flexible. You really don't know if you're going to be able to practice or who's going to be able to practice from day to day. You just don't know. And so Stephanie hit on it, and I'll hit on it too. The emotional and the mental stability of our players right now is probably the one thing that I'm touching on, because they got to have us as coaches to lean on, because they really don't know either what day-to-day is going to offer. It's a rare air that we're in right now. We were not able to open up last Wednesday. We came off of quarantine Tuesday. We had all of our players were in quarantine because we had a young lady that contracted the virus, and that put all of us, away from the basketball court again for 14 days. And again, you fall back on your leadership. I don't know, not only do my players have me to lean on and my coaches, but they know that Dr. McPhee, Chris, and Diane are going to be there also. So it's been tough. It's been tough. But you know what? We're learning from it. We had to take this experience that we just come through, because what if this takes place during the season? And it's made us have to go in and do some things for practice, do some things as far as our classrooms are concerned. I think one of the things that Chris hit on about was the fact that none of us really have any experience. We're all on the same rate. We're all in the same race in this COVID experience. No one knows any more than the next person. And even our players, they may come up with some ideas or some things that will help us in how we need to fight this and make sure that we have our players there every day and make sure that we get to the starting line for our season.
I think what makes this panel so great is we have so many varying levels of experience, but nobody has experienced anything like this, and it's all completely new. But I want to get Coach Evans' perspective on this, joining a new team and trying to get to know them. I mean, what has this been like for you, getting your new team for you mentally and physically ready to go for the season?
Well, I really don't have anything to compare it to. So, and Bart and I was talking about this last week. Imagine becoming a first-time head coach during a pandemic, but it's been fun for me. I look at challenges as opportunities to grow. So for me, it's been extremely fun. I'm learning about my team every single day. It's given us an opportunity to connect, just from the standpoint of we can't go out recruiting. I don't look at that as a bad thing. Obviously, we all need to recruit. That's the lifeline, the bloodline of our programs. But however, what this has done is given me an opportunity to re-recruit the kids that I'm coaching. And for me, that's the most important thing. I'm learning things about them now that I don't think I would have learned if it wasn't for the pandemic. So I just choose to look at it from that standpoint, that perspective. And that's what I'm educating my players to do. Every day is different. I don't know what normal is anymore. I've learned what contingency plans are. We have to have them every single day. It's fluid. We're learning new things every single day. So the one thing that I tell my kids, these are life lessons. You have to be able to adjust, just like in basketball. You may scout a particular team and you may think they're running certain plays and they may come out and do something totally different. So you have to be able to adjust. You have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. So that's what I'm relaying to my team every single day.
Coach Brooks, what was the advice that you gave him? What are you guys doing over at Belmont that maybe other programs could learn from?
I'll tell you what he said. I do not want to be you. I'm glad I'm not you.
I don't know how he's going to do it. I said, I don't know if I'd have made it if I'd have had to do this in the middle of a pandemic. But no, it's been like Coach Ensel said. It's actually comforting to hear Coach Ensel say he doesn't have the answers, because you think a guy who's been doing it as well and as long as he has would have everything figured out. But I think it is kind of a pretty interesting dynamic in that we're all dealing with this new, and no one's had this kind of experience before. So there's a lot of people, I think, trying new things and trying to figure out the best way to approach it. And for us, I don't know if we've got any answers yet, but I think what we try to do is just be grateful for every day we get. If we get to practice, we're extremely grateful, and we're blessed, and we get together at the end of it, and we come together, and we're not sure if we're going to see each other the next day. It's one of those, and it's a little bit surreal thinking back to March, preparing for postseason play on one day, and then the next day we go in different directions and don't come back together again until August. So you're never guaranteed the next day. So I think it's been really important for us a great lesson for us as coaches and as players to make sure that we stay where our feet are, and we take advantage of the opportunity that's right in front of us. And then, if we get a chance to do it again tomorrow, that's just going to be awesome. We're gonna enjoy every minute of it.
Coach Sumski, you've heard everybody's responses. How are you navigating this uncertain time?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's in the same boat, like we've all mentioned. I think there were a couple things that we mentioned every day last year with our program. That was just holistic development, just culture, the things we wanted to do. And now it's just COVID and mental health, right? And there's nothing new that I can give you that the other coaches haven't, other than, we really have had the opportunity to kind of develop some deeper relationships through this. I think some more meaningful relationships. And I think we just had the opportunity to miss each other. And like Bart just said, I mean, we come back every day just grateful to get the chance to play basketball. We used to be nervous on test day. Now we're nervous on results day. And that's results day for us. So if I get a call here in the next hour and you see me like reacting a little bit, you know what that is. So, but yeah.
Oh, goodness. Everyone just deep breath. I feel like you need this right now. Hopefully you can try to enjoy this day, but because we had you go last, I'm going to have you go first on this next one. Just what has recruiting been like in a pandemic? I mean, it's all about connection and the in-person connection, and you can't do that during a pandemic. What's that been like?
Oh my goodness, I've Zoomed and FaceTime more than I could have ever imagined. And I think that people probably think I'm a little bit younger, that I'm very familiar with those concepts that I never FaceTimed until this year. And now we're just, having the opportunity to try to get some face-to-face with prospects and their parents has really made a difference. I think they've had a little bit more time to connect a little bit more authentically than if they were, running around the country playing hundreds of games over the summer. But we've just had to find different ways to get the same things done. I mean, we've been able to actually kind of expand our reach a little bit just by just staying on the phone, staying on the computer, staying on, just using every resource that we've had. So we've been, pleasantly, surprised and thankful with how recruiting has been. But, now as we roll into a new cycle with the kind of bonus year, just trying to, every coach is becoming a roster manager right now. And that's where I am, just like everyone else.
Coach Brooks, how much have you leaned on your technical staff during the recruiting process? What's that been like?
Tell you what, I've got great assistant coaches, Kevin, Danny Malo, Christine Clark. They keep me afloat. I have no idea what's going on with this stuff, but they've done an amazing job of keeping me connected with our recruits, and that's probably been the hardest thing is when you get to have a player come visit you on campus, the face-to-face time that you spend with that player and their family, you really can't replace it. And it's a relationship business, and it's hard to have relationships, meaningful relationships, with the telephone, with texting, with even the FaceTime and the Zoom. You know, the first Zoom call I was on, it cut off right. I was giving the best speech of my life. I might have I don't even know what happened, but I was on my A game, and the thing cut off because it was a 40-minute limit, and so I don't know what they heard or what they didn't hear, and but it's just a lot of new, different things that we've had to deal with as the summer's gone. And I think for me personally, I tried to avoid just diving into it for about a month, and then I realized, okay, this is what's going to be here for a while. And since that point, it's really kind of taken on a life of its own with the virtual recruiting.
I don't know about you guys, but I've learned a lot about patience over the last few months, for sure. Very, very important. Coach Evans, what has recruiting been like for you in this virtual world?
Well, I hate looking at recruits on film. I hate it. I'm gonna be completely honest. I can't stand it because I like looking at things that don't necessarily show up on film. How they respond when they go to the bench, whether or not they're supporting their teammates. So all that's been taken away completely, but I've had to learn. I've had to embrace it because it's here. We can't pretend like it's not here. Hopefully it'll change soon. Hopefully when January comes, we'll be able to go back out. But it was tough for me in the beginning. I'm not gonna lie to you. And I'm a hugger. I love hugging. I do. That's how I was raised. I like contact. Can't do that anymore. So for me, it's been tough, but I've learned how to develop my soft skills. You spend so much time on the phone and FaceTime. I'm hearing about songs I've never heard about. I'm hearing about musical artists I've never heard about. Thank God for my 13-year-old. She's taught me how to FaceTime, and she's taught me how to set up backdrops. So I feel like I'm learning, but it's been a process for me. I'm gonna be completely honest. It's been a process for me.
Sending virtual hugs to all of you guys right now. I've sent a lot of virtual hugs these last couple of months as well. So it's about all you can do. Coach Insel, you've obviously recruited a few seasons in your lifetime, but is there anything you can take from what you know about recruiting and apply it to the virtual world, or is it a whole new ballgame?
Well, in the beginning, I was a little bit negative when my coaches came to me and said, "Hey, you need to be on Zoom 6:30 Sunday night or whatever," and I thought, how much can we get accomplished there? And really, they gave me a dissertation about being positive and about coming across, honestly. And by the end of the first Zoom recruiting call that we had, we got a commitment. Hadn't been to campus, parents hadn't been to campus, but they committed. It excited me. And so we went from there. So now, like you said, it's the new normal. So we gotta go with it. But now, I'm like some of the others. I like getting out. I like recruiting. I like going to the different places. I like meeting people. I like meeting the event operators. Right on down the line. So it's taken a big part of coaching at the Division I level away from me. And the way things has happened, and hopefully we can get back the way it was.
Coach White, how do you sell Vanderbilt if you can't show it off? What's that been like?
Yeah, it's forced us all to get creative. It's forced us to think outside the box. It's forced us to utilize resources we didn't know existed. Virtual tours, certainly Zoom, just like everybody else. I'd never heard of Zoom. I also think it keeps it real too, because every Zoom call, every FaceTime, my kids are coming in and out. And, you for those of you who have kids at home and trying to juggle and homeschooling and all the other stuff, that's real. And I think it gives kids an opportunity to see that we're people too, in a way that it wouldn't if we're just coming to their home or if we're just going out on the road. So I think that's one advantage. The other thing is just overall intentional communication, really trying to get the message across. What are we about? Who are we? You miss the the vibe that you can feel just being around people, you know, really getting a sense in your gut of who people are. But it's forced us to really be deliberate in how we communicate. And I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing. And we're continuing to adjust. We're continuing to learn, you know, and just like Ty mentioned, maybe we'll get out in January, maybe we won't. But it keeps us uncomfortable, and that keeps us as coaches and as leaders growing. And I think that's important, you know, really for the evolution of where we're going with our game.
Yeah, and speaking on that, I'll go back to you about the evolution of your game. It seems like women's basketball in general has seen a big uptick in excitement and eyeballs around the sport. How have you seen it change over the last few years?
You know, I think the biggest thing is that it's showcased in different ways. You know, you see it on television more than you ever have. You know, I think this summer, the opportunity to showcase the WNBA and that it's more than just basketball. And that's a trickle down effect. I think, you know, for women's basketball in particular, the validation that women's basketball players are getting from other athletes is important, because I think the one thing that we faced every day is the stigma in women's sports in general, and the validation, the opportunities to showcase great basketball players. I mean, you know, Coach Ensel's has Alicia Clark playing for a WNBA championship. And that's awesome. You know, not only does it showcase our game, it showcases, you know, your school, it showcases where you can go as a women's basketball player, where you can go as an athlete. And it also showcases the things that we talk about every day in creating meaningful change, in allowing sport to help us become leaders, to not go out into the world and just, you know, nod our heads, right? So I think just the ability to see sport on television, the ability to get to know athletes through social media in a different realm, and not to mention on the floor. I mean, the game is as good as it's ever been. It's as versatile as it's ever been. Athletes are the most athletic we've ever seen. And it just continues to grow. And it's a lot of fun for us who just love the sport. It's a lot of fun because it's an entertainment value, but also a lot of pride in, oh my gosh, like I see where it was when we were playing, and now to look at where it is. And to think that, you know, maybe you've had some small part in that, but to know the bigger picture of these young women are seeing themselves every day. And that helps grow our sport. And I love it.
I think it's safe to say the Wubble was absolutely awesome. Definitely enjoyed watching all the action from there. But Coach Insel, how have you seen the game grow over the last few years?
Oh, God. You know, in particular in Tennessee, I've always preached the fact that women's basketball in the state of Tennessee was as important as the football programs and men's basketball. And I think you're seeing that. You know, one of the biggest challenges that we'll have, and I hate to bring this in right now, is, and we're having this now with our season ticket holders, you know, because the way the COVID is and the way the social distancing is, and we've got about 2,700 season ticket holders, so we got to be able to seat them in our facility, and we got to be able to seat them with social distancing. So that's going to affect our attendance, and it could affect the excitement. But what we've done here is the fact that I think in Murfreesboro in particular, there's so much talent at the high school levels and in the Middle Tennessee area that I always felt like that Middle Tennessee could be a hotbed for attendance. And I think you've seen that. I mean, you know, we're averaging right at 5,000 a game. We've had as many as 11,000 several times in the last 15 years. So we're excited about what's going on with the women's game, all the way up through the WNBA. Again, Alicia Clark, and Alicia's not only a great player, but God, she's just a leader on and off the court. And, you know, I hate to say this, but you go on back to the very first WNBA championship. I had a player on that team. Tiffany Woosley was on the Houston Rockets. So that's how long I've been in this game. Houston Comets, rather.
Love that. Coach Evans, you know, Coach Insel mentioned the part of not possibly having fans in the stands. So it's hard to feel that excitement. It might be a little bit difficult to feel it, but how have you in your short time here in Middle Tennessee felt the excitement of women's basketball? And I think just overall, the quality of women's basketball in this area?
Well, Tennessee, for me, I've been coaching for 19 years. I was at St. Louis, Georgetown, Alabama, and then Auburn, and now here. When I got to Alabama, I spent a lot of time recruiting in Middle Tennessee, just in Tennessee in general. And I can tell you right now, the basketball in Tennessee is phenomenal. And that's one of the reasons why this job was so attractive to me, because there's so much talent here. You know, I had players from Mount Juliet when I was in Alabama. I've never not had a Tennessee player on my roster in the last 15 years. And I think it's a testament to a lot of the coaches in the area. I mean, Tennessee, where I'm from the Midwest. You know, the stereotype is where I'm from, we're fundamentally sound, you know, pack line defense. You know, we're not really athletic, but we can think the game, you know, and then you go down south and then the narrative is they're athletes, but they can't. You know, that's what you hear. I don't believe it, but that's what you hear. Where in Tennessee, to me, you get the best of both worlds. You have the athletes, but they know how to play. You know, and the thing is, I think, like I said before, it's a testament to the coaches, you know, the trainers. I love the basketball here in Tennessee, and the fans are, oh my God, the fans are, they're crazy in a great way, you know. So I'm just excited to be here because I'm a basketball junkie, and I couldn't think of a better state to be coaching in than Tennessee.
Coach Brooks, are you still seeing the top talent come out of the state of Tennessee?
Yeah, I think Tennessee, I think Ty just hit on it, and the developmental levels of basketball in Tennessee, youth coaches do a great job of developing skills in young players in Tennessee. And so when you get a player who's got a high level of athleticism, and then you combine what they've been able to do with their development as a youth and a young player, I think that's when you get really talented players. And there's a lot of them in this area. And just to kind of piggyback on what Coach White talked about with the visibility of our game, and just thinking through, you know, even during my time at Belmont, Commissioner DeBush, who's on the call with the OVC, getting an ESPN Plus deal, so all of our games are available, that they're really high quality, and every young girl who is growing up right now has a role model that they can see playing basketball. And for so long, young girls playing basketball, they had to look at a guy's player as a role model. And now they get to see someone who looks like them. And I think that's a really cool thing for every young girl who has a dream of playing this game and allowing this game to take them someplace, that they can look and say, I see myself as Alicia Clark. I could be her. And I think that's part of why this game has grown and taken off like it has.
I think I know what we're going to hear from our Tennessee Miss Basketball on the quality of women's basketball in the state of Tennessee, but how have you seen it grown from your time as a player to now a coach?
Oh my goodness, it feels like forever since I've played, but I think you'd just be remiss to not mention, you know, Rick Insel and what he did for, you know, just high school girls basketball here and at the grassroots level, and, you know, the continued success he's had at Middle Tennessee. And then obviously Pat Summitt just brought a whole, you know, different level of visibility to women in sport in general, and you know, what it means to be a competitor, and what it means to, you know, be someone who is trying to pursue, you know, excellence in everything that they do, and a lot of that, you know, resonated and started here in Tennessee, I like to think, especially you know, in the South. And echoing off of other coaches' sentiments, I think that the visibility of the women's game now has made, like Bart said, you know, more women role models. I think the WNBA did a phenomenal job in the bubble, or the wobble, you know, this past couple months, as far as bringing awareness to who they are as people, and then just the phenomenal play they did as over the course of, you know, maybe a day off in between games. It was just absolutely incredible watching that level of like competitiveness. I'll be honest, I had some players that weren't too into watching women's basketball at the time, just because, they didn't grow up with those, same role models and maybe the same level of investment, that we did as coaches. But to watch them be engaged, still walking around in their, WNBA jerseys and things like that, I think it speaks to, one of the avenues that COVID has really provided for us, just with more access and visibility.
Coach White, I know you've done some recruiting overseas, and so kind of what the development leagues look like, stateside and abroad. How have you seen, new opportunities come about just for the development of the game at kind of a lower level, not quite to college yet?
Well, I think just like everyone alluded to, you have great coaches, at grassroots level. You have great coaches at the collegiate level who are developing for the next level. And you have great player development people at the pro level that are continuing to work on skills and continuing to really hone this craft. And, I attribute just that to the investment in women's sports in general. When you invest in women, good things happen. And at every level, you're starting to see former players get involved. Former players get involved, and not that you have to play to coach, and not that you have to play to develop, but when you're around the game, as a father of young women or as an uncle of young women, when you're around the game and appreciate the game, you want to give back to the game. You want to study the game when you're a student of the game. And so I think, there's no doubt in my mind that the more opportunity we have had, as women in sport, as women in basketball, to compete at every level, the more we want to give back. And the more opportunities we've had to witness and experience, whether it's through daughters or through relatives or whatever, we want to give back. And we now see students of the game who want to continue to develop this game, who want these young women to succeed at every level, who want these young women to have the same opportunities that young men have in our sport. And so you continue to see development at the grassroots level. And it's just like everyone has talked. Yes, we've always seen that in Middle Tennessee. We've always seen that in the state of Tennessee. And we continue to see that at a higher level. No longer, are you just focusing by the time kids get to us on just fundamental skills, on dribbling and passing, something that they might not have focused on in elementary school and middle school and high school, in years past, right? Now we're talking about footwork and development. What's the next level of development? Being able to play, as Debbie Antonelli always says, at all three levels, right? You're seeing young women shoot floaters. You're seeing young women work on step backs. You're seeing young women work on skills that when I played, we never worked on. And I just think that's a tribute to every coach who's investing in these young women. And, the great thing about it is there's more opportunity to continue to do that. And it's exciting to see where this game is going to get to.
Coach Insel, in your time coaching, how much have you seen the game develop from that grassroots level? And are you seeing recruits come in with I guess, more baseline skills than you typically have in years past?
Well, first, let me throw in a little tidbit here. When Stephanie played, she didn't have to work on those skills. She already had them. She was good. Have I seen the change? Absolutely. I mean, you see more young ladies now playing. There for a while in the spring, you had softball, you had track, you had not volleyball, but tennis, things like that. And then you're seeing more young ladies now that are playing basketball year round. And some people don't like that. But, I think, again, you've got to decide if you want to become a good player. And if you do, then you're going to have to put the time in. And we're fortunate enough now that we've got people in the different communities around the country that not only there's some great coaches on the high school, junior high level, but you've got young men and young ladies that are training. And you see these kids now that are able to do things in the 7th and 8th grade that you didn't see that back 25 years ago. Just was not there. But it's there now because they made the decision, hey, I'm going to play women's basketball. I'd like to play in the WNBA. And if you're going to do that, you're going to have to pay the price. And paying the price is getting in the gym and training and working and shooting. And, the skill sets on the defensive end have changed. So, I think right now our game is, I like where we're at, to be honest with you. And I like what I'm seeing. And again, go back to the fact that the emphasis in where all of us are at right now, there's some good football teams around. There's some good men's basketball programs on the high school level, but there's a bunch of great women's basketball programs around our state, around our Middle Tennessee area.
Coach Evans, can you echo those same sentiments?
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. Like I said before, Tennessee, when it comes to women's basketball, I mean, I can't say it enough. It's phenomenal. I love basketball, and just from the standpoint of how the game has grown from, when I started coaching women's basketball 19 years ago into now, I can't even articulate it. And I think what it is, it's just young girls are just falling in love with the game because they're seeing it more and more. I think social media has a lot to do with that. The success of the WNBA has a lot to do with that. My 13-year-old now is asking me, Daddy, can I go overseas? I'm like, yeah, if you put some time in. Yeah, you put some time in the gym, you can go overseas, But the fact that she's even thinking about playing basketball, beyond college, 19 years ago, the girls that I were coaching, they wasn't even talking about that. They were going to school to get it paid for, and then they were going to look for a job, basically. Now you're looking at the WNBA with the new collective bargaining agreement. They've seen all these different opportunities, not only playing, but when they're done playing, they can coach, they can go in the front office. I mean, I think it's phenomenal, and I think it's only going to get better.
Right, Coach Brooks, I know Coach Evans mentioned his daughter, and I know there's probably a lot of young girls out there that are wondering, what can I do to get to this point, to get to be a Belmont Bruin? What advice do you have for some young girls just kind of learning to play basketball and getting interested in the sport?
Yeah, I would say become a great shooter. That's a good start. If you can make a basket, you're probably on your way. And then I think something that Ty said with the social media, just as I think through all of the resources that are available to kids, even if you feel like you're not in a place where you've got a great coach, maybe at the junior high level, there's still so many resources available to you. I think of Drew Hanlon, a Belmont alum, who is one of the best trainers in the world. And he puts out stuff every day on his Instagram, on his Twitter, ball handling drills or challenges or different things to think about the game, different ways to help players develop their skills. There's just so many resources available for these kids now. And I think what Coach Insel talked about, if you want to be good at this, it's a commitment, and you got to have a goal and a dream, but really at the end of the day, you've got to have a habit of work. And if you put the work in, this game can take you to some amazing places. In the last 3 years, we've had players at Belmont play in Ireland, in Australia, in Germany, in Spain. And just for that opportunity to be abroad, someone paying them money to play basketball, that is a pretty cool thing for a young person to get to say, I was a pro at this sport and playing this game that I love. So it's there for people, but it's not an easy thing to do. You got to put the work in.
Coach Sumski, you have such great perspective from being a player to now a coach. What advice would you give to young girls like yourself in the past of just loving basketball, and what do they need to do to get to the level that you were at?
Goodness, I just need to, love it every day and, stick with it. I think right now our young people have a lot of opportunities, probably even more so than I did growing up. And it's easy to bounce around and float around when things get hard, and just to continue to work to develop that, resilience, even when things are hard and even when things don't feel good. And just to, like everyone else said, just put in the time, be as competitive as possible, compete with themselves every single day. And just, try to be the best that they can be, as opposed to, looking left and right. What I talk to my team about all the time is I'm just, comparison, being a thief of joy. I think if they love it, like they really love it, then, putting the work in, it's fun for them. Getting the opportunity to be in the gym is fun for them. and, you know, their development may happen at different rates, at different paces than other players. But if they stick with it, you know, they'll run their own race, then they'll get what they should get out of it.
All right, I gave you guys the easy questions, but now we've got some questions from our virtual audience. So we're going to start here with a question for Coach Evans. Being your first year at TSU and taking over a program that's been really down, what do you expect from this year?
It's a great question. What we try to do here is we just focus on the day. You know, I wasn't here last year. We don't talk about what happened in the past. We can't control it, so why even spend time thinking about it? We know what happened. We know we're not naive enough to think that people are not thinking about what happened in the past, but our whole focus is let's just control today. Can we get better today? Can we get better in this particular possession? Was this possession better than the last possession? If not, why not? So that's our focus. I know it's kind of cliche, but we have to think that way. That's the way I am naturally. You know, I'm teaching our young ladies to have a growth mindset, and that's what we focus on. So, you know, where the program has been successful in the past. You know, I have a young lady on my staff right now who was on the 2015 team that won a conference championship. That's a great resource. She's won here, so she's proven that it can be done. You know, so we've had success in 94 and 95. So, you know, we've had a few down years, but trust me, we'll be back sooner than later.
Love it. All right, we got a question here for Coach Sumski. Last year at Lipscomb was your first year. Was it about as you expected as far as running your own program?
Yeah, I mean, you know, like Coach Evans said, just, you know, making the most of every day that you have with our team and our program. I think last year we were trying to be as competitive as possible with a little bit younger team. And there are times in games we're battling. We just got like out-cultured. I think having experienced that, having learned from that, our young women are rising to the challenge each and every day. And I'm probably doing a little bit better job putting them in more situations where we're having to battle and have that resolve. But you know, learning how to win was a big part of what we did last year, and now trying to carry those things over and try to figure out ways to, you know, stand in there and win those, you know, key 5 or 6 possessions. We faltered there and gave in to the moment. Now we've been in those moments, and we're just looking forward to being in some more of those for sure.
All right, Coach White, I've got one for you. This is a coach's favorite question. The last couple of years, the Vanderbilt basketball team has had several injuries. Does it look like everyone is healthy to start this year?
Yeah, certainly. We have had our fair share of injuries. You know, we still have some that are recovering from injuries that were sustained last season. And so far, everyone who has been healthy is still healthy. So that's a good thing. You know, I think we're seeing this in every sport that has restarted, right? We're seeing a lot of soft tissue injuries. We're seeing a lot of injuries because there were no preseasons. There were no opportunities to get your body ready. Soft tissue work is a challenge right now in the area of COVID. Who can come in and work on student athletes? Who can't? You know, hot and cold tubs and having to flush things out to make sure that everything's sanitized. I mean, you know, it's a different environment in terms of preparation as well. And, you know, I think one of the things that we're trying to do is really use science to help us, you know, navigate on a day-to-day basis, particularly because we didn't have the summer to build endurance, to build strength, to do injury prevention. And so we're attacking it at all levels to do that. So right now, everyone who was healthy is still healthy. We're working to get some of those players back that are going to be able to be back this year. And then we're dealing with, you know, as everyone has alluded to, the invisible injury in contact tracing and COVID and, you know, all of those things. And how do you train when you're in quarantine? How do you stay prepared? How do you stay ready and not come back and get injured? So a lot of different dynamics that we're having to attack at different levels. And, you know, for me, you know, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a strength and conditioning person. I'm not all of those things. So just really relying on the information that we're given. Really being great followers when it comes to sports medicine and when it comes to understanding where we are, and then moving forward and being flexible.
Good luck to you this year. That sounds like a whole lot of stuff to manage. And along those lines, we do have a question from Twitter from Philip Anthony. He said, coaches, What are the challenges managing our athletes in this uncertainty during the season? You talked about some of the physical ones. I'm going to tee this up for Coach Brooks, just so we spread it around a little bit. What are some of the challenges of managing all this uncertainty?
Yeah, I think I love the invisible injury. I might steal that. There's just so many different layers to all of this, and I think the mental health part is something that we've touched on. That these young people are dealing with probably a different load of mental anxiety every day when they step foot on a practice floor, and for us, usually the practice floor or the basketball court is a place of release where they can get away from some of the stresses and pressures of their academic work or their social life. And now I think it's getting harder, at least for me, to feel like our players are truly able to separate some of the anxiety that they're feeling right now. And so that's been a big part for us, just trying to make sure everyone is in a healthy place mentally as well as physically. And the physical piece has been definitely a challenge I feel like our biggest goal every day is to make sure everyone's healthy at the end of practice, if we get to practice, and just how to do that, get everyone ready to compete at a high level safely, is probably one of the most challenging preps in a preseason that I've ever been a part of. And so it's not like I've got an answer, a great plan yet. I don't feel like we've got it figured out, but we're slowly moving our way through. And like I think Coach Insel referenced it early in this talk, we're just trying to get ourselves to that starting line ready, and then we'll see what happens from that point. But it's definitely been a challenge.
All right, Coach Insel, I've got a question for you. How are you using your platform as the leader of a women's basketball program to make an impact on the community around you? Oh, Coach, we got you on mute again. Sorry.
I said that's one of the things that we recruit to, is the fact that when you come to Middle Tennessee, that you have a voice, and you're not going to allow someone to define you. And we've just carried on with that program. You define you. You decide what you want to do. You decide your career. You decide what you've got passion for. Don't allow anybody else to do that. And we've kind of, carried that over with what's taking place around our country right now, and the fact that you have a voice and you need to use that voice.
I love that. All right, so we don't have any more questions right now from the audience. Once we get more, I'll ask you more questions, but I want to go back to Coach White to ask the question about the advice for young girls. I think it's so important from a player and coach perspective. What's the best piece of advice you give to young girls that are just getting interested in the sport?
Oh, Bart mentioned it, being able to shoot the ball, being fundamentally sound, working on your fundamentals. Everybody wants to do the things that they see on television. Well, they couldn't do the things that they do on television without thousands and thousands of hours of doing the mundane, of doing the ordinary, of doing the fundamental skills. And I think the other piece is watch the game, really watch the game. And that you can learn so much by watching the game. And just like Lauren had mentioned, we had players, especially earlier in my career here at Vanderbilt, that never watched basketball. That didn't have dreams or aspirations outside of Vanderbilt to participate in basketball. You watch and listen and utilize social media. People are telling their stories. They're talking about what it takes to be great, and not just what it takes to be great, at basketball, but what it takes to be great in life. It takes pounding the stone. It takes honing your skills. It takes work, as everyone has said, on this Zoom. And so watch the game, work on your fundamental skills, be great at those little things every single day, and then continue to develop your game.
All right, this will be our final question. We'll start with Coach Sumski here. In a year full of unknowns, what's the biggest key looking ahead to the next season? And how much are you looking forward to getting back on the floor and playing somebody other than yourself?
Oh, goodness. I'll start with the second one. I mean, we talk about it each and every day. I had a senior who was interviewed on our first day of practice, and it was really funny. she's like, I just can't wait to play someone else. I was like, dude, this is your first day of practice. We got 30 more of these things. Let's make sure we get through every single day first, and we look forward to playing someone else. We're just looking forward to competing. Obviously in year two, like I said earlier, our team is a little bit more mature, a little bit more experienced. So we're just ready to get out and just compete and show, those improvements that we like to think that we've made in a year. And then, goodness, we're just looking ahead. We're really excited about the class we have coming in 21 and what they're going to be able to do. We're really excited that we have some players who are interested in hanging around for that kind of bonus year and adding a little bit more, depth, because I think all the coaches would agree if you can have someone in your program 5 years, that helps you out a ton. So we're just ready to go. I mean, I can't say it any other way, and I'm not going to belabor it. We're just ready to go.
Love it. Coach Brooks, are you looking at this as possibly a chance to reset and start over?
I think there's definitely been some evaluations of everything we do in this program and why we do it. And, obviously had a 6-month period to reflect before we got back on the practice court and try to maybe make some things a little bit more efficient once we did get back on the practice floor. So for us, we've got a very young roster, inexperienced roster, more so than since I've been at Belmont. So this is going to be a different looking team for us this year. I'm excited. I love coaching them. I love the enthusiasm and the excitement that they bring to every practice. So it's been a great preseason. I'm excited about the opportunity to hopefully get some games and go through the journey of a season. And I think whatever this year holds, it might have a lot of uncertainty, unknowns. We might miss some games. We might play a limited schedule. Whatever that looks like, it's going to be a big bonus for us, because just getting to be together and getting to go through any type of a season, the journey that you go through as a team, that's really the best part of it for me as a coach, is just watching a team go through that journey together.
Coach Evans, what about for you? In a year full of unknowns, what's the biggest key?
Well, we can't press reset. We haven't started yet. I got the job late August, so we're just ready to get started. And it's been fun though. It's been fun. Obviously, there are some unknowns, but we can't control them. And I've said this before. We can't focus on things we can't control, because it's a waste of time. You can't do anything about it. So that's our approach every single day. The ladies are having fun, and I'm a fun guy. I'm just going to be honest. I think fun, who doesn't want to have fun? When I started playing basketball when I was a kid, I started because it was fun. If it wasn't fun, I wouldn't have played. So I coach from that same perspective. And I think sometimes we lose sight of that. So we make sure we have fun every day. And if it's something that you love, you're going to work hard at it, and that's one of our core values. We work extremely hard, competition. If you love to play, there's a reason why there's a scoreboard, so we compete every single day, but at the end of the day, and I tell this to our ladies all the time, fall in love with the game every day. But more importantly, you got to stay in love with the game every single day. And I think if you approach it from that perspective, when you come to the unknowns, you'll be able to manage them a little bit better.
I love that. Coach Insel, what about you?
We're not on mute.
You got it.
We got to hit the road running. The floor running, because our schedule is so tough with Louisville, Vanderbilt, Belmont, Tulane, TCU, and Troy. So there's no exhibitions. You just got to be ready to roll that first night. And I've never had to run that race, and so it's going to be interesting. We're kind of excited about it. The challenges and getting to play top-notch competition, and getting an opportunity to maybe win some of those games, and then who knows what's going to happen. But just being back with our players, I think now I've seen this with my players. They appreciate their coaches and the game and their teammates more than I've ever seen since I've been coaching, because of what's taken place. When they come back in, I see that togetherness, that chemistry, that love with each other. And I've even had people come and say, hey, your kids, they really enjoy playing with each other. And, you know, I've had teams that where they didn't enjoy playing with each other. But right now, I think because of what we've gone through, our players has taken a different perspective on what's happening within our program.
All right, Coach White, close us out. What are some of the biggest keys to this unknown season ahead?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's hit on it. You know, we probably all feel like we're behind without having that summer, but at the same time, the connectedness, you know, of our group, because you get a chance to miss each other, you get a chance to miss the game. You know, as far as keys, I think the key is flexibility. I think the key is flexibility. I think it's continuing to get better, continuing to grind every day. And as Ty mentioned, you know, we can only control what we can control. And we might miss games, we might play games, we might miss practices, we might have a kid in quarantine, we might have a kid that's on, you know, injured, we might have, you know, to adjust every single day. So we have to stay flexible while continuing to push and challenge and grind and get better. But the great thing is these are life lessons, right? These are life lessons that they're learning every single day. These are life lessons that we're learning every single day. We haven't been through this before. So we want to stay flexible and we want to continue to get better. And we want to utilize our chance to reset that we've had to continue to love one another, to continue to love this game and continue to grow this game.
All right. Thank you guys so much for lending your insight. We really do appreciate it. I don't know about you guys, but I'm so ready for basketball season. You guys just got me way more excited. So thank you so much for that. And thank you everyone behind the scenes who is attending. Can't see you, but I know that you're there. And again, for more information on the Nashville Sports Council Women's in Sports Initiative, please visit nashvillesports.com. Everybody stay safe out there, and I would say go Bruins just because I was a Belmont Bruin, but good luck to everybody this season, and hope you guys all have a great rest of your day. Thanks.